And that's why I want to personally extend my gratitude to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively.
Blake Lively was once the golden standard of Hollywood glamour, a star whose red carpet appearances and effortlessly chic style defined an era. For years, she was celebrated as America's sweetheart, the epitome of perfection with a dazzling public persona managed by expert PR teams. But beneath the sparkle and stage smiles, whispers of backstage tensions, creative overreach, and legal disputes had been building.
Chelsea Handler just roasted Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni in front of a lot of major celebrities at an award show. I don't think Blake Lively is going to like it.
None of these murmurs, however, prepared anyone for what would happen one fateful night at the Critics' Choice Awards, a night that would forever alter the narrative around Blake Lively. As the cameras rolled and the industry's elite gathered to honor the year's achievements, an unexpected twist transformed the evening. Chelsea Handler, known for her razor-sharp wit and fearless commentary, took the stage with a performance that would become the public execution of Blake's carefully cultivated image. In one bold, unforgettable moment, Handler's words delivered a verdict that left no doubt. The era of the untouchable Blake Lively was over. Handler opened her monologue with a line that sent shockwaves through the room. It's important in times like these to have a distraction, and that's why I'd like to personally thank Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. In that brief statement, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The audience, comprising A-listers like Orlando Bloom, Margot Robbie, and Emma Stone, erupted into uproarious laughter. This was no polite chuckle, it was a resounding rejection of Blake's carefully maintained myth. In that moment, every laughing face in the room declared that Blake's long-held status as Hollywood's flawless icon had cracked irreparably. For years, Blake had meticulously projected an image of resilience and refined elegance. Her interviews were polished, her fashion impeccable, and her life, at least on screen, appeared without fault.
So it is important in times like these to have a distraction. And that's why I want to personally extend my gratitude to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively.
But as Handler's roast unfolded, it became evident that the public was no longer buying the narrative. Handler's remarks weren't mere jokes. They were searing observations that highlighted a series of missteps, legal battles, and behind-the-scenes controversies that had slowly undermined Blake's credibility. At the heart of the matter was a very public legal dispute with Justin Baldoni. What began as whispers of creative conflicts soon escalated into a bitter exchange of accusations. Blake had been portrayed by her supporters as a victim of industry double standards, a woman forced to fight back against overbearing forces. Yet, as leaked emails, text messages, and behind-the-scenes footage surfaced, a different picture emerged. Instead of a powerless victim, Blake appeared as someone willing to overstep boundaries, someone whose aggressive tactics and rapid escalation of legal claims painted a less flattering portrait. This shift in narrative was compounded by Handler's roast, which skillfully exposed the contradictions between the public image Blake had long projected and the messy reality that lay beneath. Handler continued with a series of biting lines that drove the point home. "I'm grateful, I think we're all grateful, and I think we're good," she said, pausing for effect before delivering the final punch. "There's probably not going to be a sequel." With that one sentence, Handler not only ridiculed the notion that Blake's ongoing saga could have a happy ending, but she also suggested that her attempt to rewrite herself as a victim was doomed from the start. The laughter from the crowd was a collective exclamation point, a verdict that the carefully constructed facade was no longer sustainable. Social media exploded in the wake of that moment. Clips of Handler's roast were shared thousands of times, with memes and tweets dissecting every word. Headlines appeared on entertainment sites declaring that Chelsea Handler's roast signals the end of Blake Lively's golden era, and the night Blake Lively's image crumbled. Fans, critics, and insiders alike were quick to weigh in. Many argued that the roast wasn't simply about one comedian taking a swipe at a celebrity. It was a cultural moment that reflected a broader rejection of celebrity narratives built on artifice and unchecked power. But while the roast itself was the catalyst, the seeds of Blake's downfall had been sown long before that night. In the months leading up to the Critics' Choice Awards, there had been growing murmurs among industry insiders about tensions on set and conflicts behind the scenes. Blake's decision to involve herself directly in creative decisions, at times overstepping the roles of directors and co-stars, had raised eyebrows. Reports of her aggressively pushing back against collaborators, coupled with her filing a series of legal complaints, created a picture of a star more interested in controlling the narrative than in collaborating artfully. These actions, which may have once been dismissed as the eccentricities of a high-profile celebrity, now appeared in a far more critical light. Handler's performance was a moment of truth. By highlighting these controversies with her trademark humor, she forced everyone, both in the room and watching at home, to confront the discrepancy between Blake Lively's public persona and the reality of her actions. The laughter wasn't just about one bad joke, it was the sound of an audience collectively acknowledging that the time for unchallenged celebrity myth-making had come to an end. In the immediate aftermath, Blake's attempts at damage control were met with little sympathy. Her social media accounts, once full of confident posts and carefully curated images, now featured messages that were noticeably more guarded. Interviews became a game of cautious rhetoric, as her longtime allies in the industry started to distance themselves. The very networks that had once rallied behind her now offered only silence, a silence that, in the language of Hollywood, spoke louder than any criticism. The legal drama with Justin Baldoni continued to swirl around Blake like a dark cloud. Every new piece of evidence, emails, recorded conversations, even unguarded moments captured on video, further chipped away at her credibility. What had once been portrayed as a battle for justice was increasingly seen as a series of miscalculations and overreactions. And with each revelation, the public's trust in Blake's carefully spun narrative eroded further. For many observers, that night at the Critics' Choice Awards became the defining moment in Blake Lively's decline. It wasn't simply that Chelsea Handler had delivered a memorable joke, though that in itself was significant, but that the joke encapsulated everything that was wrong with the carefully managed celebrity image. The laughter of the live audience, broadcast to millions, was a public repudiation of the myth of perfection that Blake had long embodied. In that moment, the industry's blind faith was shattered, replaced by a new expectation for authenticity and accountability. Industry analysts soon began to speculate on the long-term repercussions. With a major legal showdown on the horizon, set for March 2026, the stakes were no longer just about reputation, but about Blake Lively's very future in Hollywood. The upcoming trial promised to be the ultimate reckoning, a final battleground where not only financial settlements, but also the fate of her public legacy would be decided. For an industry that increasingly values genuine transparency over polished performance, the question was no longer whether Blake could survive the lawsuit, but whether she could ever rebuild the shattered trust of her fans and peers. As the fallout from that live TV moment rippled through Hollywood, one thing became clear. The era of unquestioned celebrity deification was over. The power of live television combined with the immediacy of social media had created a new reality, one where every action was scrutinized and every misstep magnified. Chelsea Handler's roast was a turning point, a dramatic reminder that behind the glittering facade of fame lies a human being subject to the same rules of accountability as everyone else. Looking back, it's hard not to see Handler's performance as both a personal and cultural turning point for Blake Lively. The moment encapsulated a broader shift in public sentiment, a movement away from blind adoration and towards a demand for honesty, humility, and genuine accountability from those in the spotlight. It was a watershed moment that left an indelible mark on Blake's career, one that will be remembered as the night her carefully managed image was irrevocably shattered. Now, as Blake Lively faces an uncertain future, the legacy of that night continues to resonate. The roar of laughter at the Critics' Choice Awards stands as a lasting symbol of Hollywood's shifting priorities, a signal that the days of untouchable icons are over. For Blake, the journey ahead is not just about fighting a legal battle or salvaging a reputation, it's about grappling with the stark realization that the truth, once revealed, cannot be hidden behind a veneer of glamour. The story of Blake Lively's downfall is a cautionary tale for every celebrity who believes that image is everything. It shows that no matter how high the pedestal or how flawless the public display, the truth has a way of emerging when least expected. In an age where every word and every gesture is dissected, the power of unfiltered truth, as delivered by Chelsea Handler on that unforgettable night, serves as a reminder that authenticity, not artifice, is what ultimately endears a star to the public. In the end, Chelsea Handler's roast was far more than a moment of humor. It was a cultural milestone, a definitive moment when the public collectively decided that the myths of Hollywood's past were no longer acceptable. For Blake Lively, it marked the beginning of a long and challenging journey, a journey in which every step forward will be measured against the stark light of truth that was so brilliantly cast that night. As we look to the future, one question remains. Can Blake Lively ever rebuild the shattered remnants of her once golden image? Or will this night, broadcast live for the world to see, forever define the end of an era? Only time will tell. But for now, the message is clear. In today's celebrity culture, authenticity reigns supreme, and even the brightest stars can fall when the truth is allowed to shine through.